Hi, everyone. Got it. Hi, everyone. I'm Janine. I'll look this way so you can see me. This class is about all the different documents the state has and what they are, and also certain documents that we as Keller Williams have that require signatures. So we're going to just start with the basic documents. Well, actually, one thing, any email that you have from Amanda, I'm just going to go back here. You can't see with my fingers. That doesn't really work if I'm pointing to my screen. This little thing down here that says Parkview Docs has every single document in it in a Google Drive. So what I did for today's purposes to make things easier was click on this, which then opened up the drive. So here's the drive and here's all the documents. You can see you've got buyer's forms. These are different MLS forms. That's Central Jersey MLS if you have it. This is commercial real estate stuff, completed forms, our COVID waivers. For whatever reason, we had stuff from Dotloop. Oh, these might have been old templates that we had in Dotloop. That's Garden Forms, is GS, Hudson County MLS forms, NJ MLS forms, Monmouth. There's numerous MLS systems for the state. I think we have 8 systems. It's kind of annoying, but unfortunately it is what it is. Hopefully one day we will get down to maybe 3. That would be better. Ultimately, all the listing forms are generally the same for every MLS. So we'll just go over NJ MLS forms, because once I go over NJ, it's basically going to be the same for all of them. They require the same information. We do have some seller forms here. We do have tenant forms, landlord forms, and some just basic miscellaneous forms. Scrolling down a bit, this first form here that we have, this is something for our office, is the America's, can you guys see that? Good. Preferred home warranty. So if you have clients that are buying a home and ask you about any home warranty stuff, this is the form to use for them. There's different things in here that they can get warrantied. All sorts of information in here. Your sellers can also purchase this for the buyers. Anytime you have a new construction, home warranty is always included for your buyers. This will always be included from the seller. If you do want more information on how home warranties work and the services that are offered, feel free to ask our rep for home warranty. That's fine. But this is the form. They'll check off what they want, what they don't want, put their information in. And the best part about the home warranty form is that even if the buyer chooses to purchase it, it would be part of their closing costs. And then the title company will just pay them out. They don't have to pay out the extra ahead of time if they don't want to. They can just add it all in for the day of closing. So that's just one form that I just want to talk about. The main form here for a buyer, one of the main forms, is your contract. I'm going to open that up. I have a touch screen, people, so don't mind me that I'm just tapping away at my screen. The contract. Obviously, this is what needs to be filled out in order for you to make an offer on a property. We do have classes that are detailed on how to fill out a contract. We'll probably be offering again some next month that will make it easier strictly on how to write a contract. But you know, this is just basic information. If you want to make an offer on a property with your buyer, this is the form that needs to be filled out. It needs to be signed by your buyer. It will then get sent off to the listing agent so they can present it. If it's accepted, it gets signed by the seller, but you're not going to go anywhere unless this form is filled out and signed by anybody. So if you're on the buy side of the transaction, this needs to be done. Also on the bottom of this section, I'm going to show you right here. It says number 42, Addenda. These are all different types of addendums that can be added to your buyer's offer pertaining to the home. And I'm actually going to go over a few of these once I get to them, and I'll explain that when I get there. Another form here is a referral form. I think we have one that's a little different than this that I might have done, but this is if you are referring a client to another agent and another brokerage somewhere else, another state. This is how you can make 25% on a sale by literally referring somebody. So what you'd be doing is the office that's going to receive the information is on one side. You're the sending office, your seller and or buyer's information, whoever you're referring out. So if you have a seller up here that wants to move to Florida or another state, you'd be filling out the seller information. If you know it's somebody you know looking to buy and maybe buy down the shore and you don't want to take that hour-and-a-half drive to look at homes, that's perfectly fine. This is here of everybody accepting the referral. Your broker does sign this, and you choose on how much you want to get off the sale. Generally, people do 25% on a referral, but that's how you do this. That's what this form is basically for, just referring out. This form here is our commission statement. So if you want to get paid on your sale, you need to have this form filled out. It is in DocuSign, so it does, for the most part, autofill. So as long as your details page is autofilled, the property address will autofill, the sales price will autofill, the seller and or buyer's name, depending upon the side of the transaction, will autofill. But you can continue to put more information in here. Like you'll put in when the closing date is, what percent of the commission is, then that's the total of the sales price. Then you would minus out whatever the MLS fee or add it in, and then the total commission that's coming to the office. Sometimes there's a reimbursement to an agent. So some agents ask to be reimbursed for the CO. You can offer that as part of your transaction and say that's part of it. I pay for it for the sellers. Some agents want that money back. So if you want that money back for the CO, so you'd put the reimbursement there. That is a separate check that actually gets cut directly to you and has nothing to do with the commission. So if you shell out any money for your seller and or buyer outside of the transaction, that's what that column is for. You will have to manually add your name here because DocuSign doesn't know which side of the transaction you're on. So that's a manual. You add the buyer attorney information, which is nice. If you want it wired, our wire instructions are here. Here's what I'm going to say. You need to let the title company know that you want it wired. They will not automatically wire it just because the wire information is there. The only title company that will wire our money to us on a sale is if Carnegie Title is used, because we are affiliated with them. Any other title agency that is used does not wire unless you tell them to. And then sometimes they want some other information or a form filled out because they really want to make sure that the routing number or AFBA is proper and signed off by Jess.
Janine, we have a question in the chat. Nico missed, what is it that you can get reimbursed for?
Sure. So you can be reimbursed for, if you're on the listing side or on the buy side, doesn't matter. If you shell out any of your own money, so like for the listing side, the CO, most agents pay for the CO for the town and then just say this is part of doing business. Some agents like to be reimbursed for, shelling out that money for the CO. So it doesn't matter. So if you want to be reimbursed for that, you can. Sometimes the seller just doesn't have the money right then and there to maybe get the property landscaped, and you do. And you'll be reimbursed, and you'll be reimbursed at the time of sale for it. There are agents who do this just to help the sellers out because they don't have the money today, but they know they'll have the money when the property closes. So that's completely up to you on what you want. Also, if you're on the buy side, your VA clients are not allowed to pay for a termite inspection. Just to let you know that. So that's something you can be reimbursed for later on. $75 for a termite inspection. You're helping your buyers out. Just go for it. But they can't pay for it. The seller would have to. Just to let you know that. But if you choose to pay for that, then you can put in for a reimbursement and the seller would repay you for that. But that's what reimbursements are for. Okay. I'm going to move this chat out of my face. Here, no lead paint. Plenty of properties are built after 78. So we just needed to know in the office, or if the state comes and audits, that this property was built after 78, and you don't need a lead paint form. This is in DocuSign. It is under the KW 1095 folder. So it's there. It's also under the listing folder for residential and landlord for rentals. And I think it's under the buy side and tenant side. It should be like in all these categories, but you can't find it. It's in the KW 1095 because that's our office. It will autofill the property address in the center here. You just need to add the signature when you're in DocuSign in the envelope, because again, this is a form that can go either way. It could be for the buy side or the listing side. So there's no tagging role associated with it, but we just need to know so it's on file that there's no lead paint. That's all that is. That's simple, quick, and easy to do. What else do we have? We just have a random open house sign-in sheet. So if you're looking for an open house sign-in sheet, here it is. If you're hosting an open house, it's right in here, very easy. The person's name, their phone number, their email, if they're working with an agent, very simple, basic. If you ever need to know where it is, that's where it is. This is something we just updated and put in here. It's a transaction tracking sheet. So if you are, I don't know if we have this in DocuSign yet. I don't think we do. Amanda, do we have this in DocuSign?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so I think I'm going to ask to get this in DocuSign. And we'll put it in the KW 1095 folder. So what it here is, and this will be tagged a little bit easier. We'll ask to have the seller or buyer information. The agent's information would go in here. The only thing you would probably have to manually add is the seller attorney and the buyer attorney information, just because there's no spot for them on the details page that would be able to filter in for us. And then just some other important information, when the contract is, the expected closing date. And this can be sent along when you send your contract out to the lawyers to start attorney review. So everybody just knows who's on this transaction. That's what this is for. And if there's any other detailed information or important information that you had listed on the contract, like waiving inspections or anything like that, you can add that in that detail section down on the bottom. What is this? It's another referral form we have. I think this is the one.
That's the old form, or an older form, I think.
Nope, I think this is the newer one.
Oh.
I
While
created.
you were teaching
I'm
the
not
class.
gonna lie to you. Yes, this is totally the newer referral form that I created because it's a lot cleaner and easier. We'll have to sit down with the broker to see, but there's two in here. Basically, the date would be there, who the receiving agent is, and their office. Knowing this is coming from Keller Williams, we have the 25% in there. You would need to choose whether it's the buyer or seller side, and maybe put your client's information. There's might be just a few things that we would need to put on here. And then everybody just signs this. This is actually a cleaner and easier form to use than the other one that can get a little out of control. Now, I think it's just easier to look at. The other one just gives me anxiety. It's personal preferences. So now I'm actually going to go into some other forms here. First, I'm going to go into these buyer forms. Not all of them are in here, but there's a good chunk of the state forms in here. This is specific to our office. This is our affiliated business disclosure. This document needs to be presented to your buyers by law. End of story, by law. If you're affiliated with a painter, an electrician, and you get money if you or your clients use them, you need to let them know that you have the ability to make money off of that person. So by law, you need to let your buyers or even your sellers know. This is on the buy side because this is that fact that we're affiliated with Carnegie Title and Carnegie Home and Auto. Whether or not they use the services is completely irrelevant. You just have to let them know, and they just need to sign off knowing that they were informed. People argue with this. If you ever go to a closing and your buyers use Wells Fargo or some other banks, when they're going through their package, there will be affiliated business disclosures in there because some of these big banks are affiliated with title companies. They're affiliated with home and auto companies. And even though the clients have not used them, they still have to let them know, and they still have to know they have the possibility of making money off of them. That's why this is there, and it's to cover your butts so you don't get sued.
What about Alpha Moving? Alpha Moving?
We don't make money off of them. You don't make money off of Alpha Moving.
Oh.
Sorry, I was asked what about Alpha Moving? They're just a preferred vendor that we refer out to them. You don't individually make money off of that. Where Carnegie Title, Carnegie Home and Auto, and I think the home warranty, you can. But I'm pretty sure with Alpha Moving, we don't.
These are the only ones, right?
Right, those are the only ones. One of the most important forms, doesn't matter what side of the transaction we're on, is the consumer information statement. We use the one that's on New Jersey MLS's website because it's a one-sheeter. It's easier to read than the state one, which is 2 pages and confusing. What this document is, it's a document that tells your clients the different ways you can operate as an agent. You can operate, first category up here is a seller's agent, and strictly a seller's agent. That's it. They're going to list their home. You're going to advocate for them, and you're strictly working for that seller. Another way is strictly a buyer's agent. That's it. You're just working as a buyer's agent. End of story. You're working for them to help them get a home and all those duties. The next is dual disclosed agent, and how you can represent both sides of the transaction, or the office can represent both sides of the transaction. We'll go over that form in a minute. or a transaction broker. A transaction broker is someone who just writes up the documents, maybe gets it on the MLS, writes up the contract for the buyer, and they'll send it, but they don't do any negotiating. They don't do any other communications. They're just there to write up the paperwork to help the seller get the listing on the MLS, to help the buyer, write a contract. That's it. That's all they do. And then on the bottom, you're acknowledging what side of the transaction you're on, whether you're on the selling side or the buy side. Your buyer or seller will sign. And also down here, you're checking off how you're operating. Strictly a seller's agent, strictly a buyer's, a transaction broker, or seller and dual disclosed, buyer and dual disclosed, or yep. And then this one's seller's agent on properties in which the firm is acting as a seller's agent and transaction broker. Most people, when they do this, they check off either selling and dual or buying and dual. It gives you that option there. This form is a KW form. It's a COVID waiver, so nobody gets sued saying they got COVID. As far as I'm concerned, as long as the state has this document, we're going to have this document. Until otherwise we are told, this document will be in here and needs to be signed. If there is a COVID waiver on the MLS for a transaction you're doing on the buy side, you can use that instead of ours. You don't have to use ours. As long as there's another one there signed by the seller, you're fine. As long as it's executed, that's all that matters. Now I'm going to talk about dual agency. I'm going to go over this form once and only once, because it doesn't matter what side of the transaction you're on. The state does have 4 dual agency forms. Why? I don't know, but they do. One is for landlord, one is for listing, should be one form. One is for buyer, one is for tenant, that should be another form. We really should only have 2. But what this is saying is that the seller or landlord is giving you, the agent, permission to show, sell, rent their home to a client you may have, to a client that anybody in our office has. It doesn't just go for you. This is not a dual agent form. On the top, it says dual agency. This is the big misconception. It's not just for that. So on the listing side, this form should be signed immediately. Again, whether it's residential or rental, I don't care. Because if you get a client on Zillow, you technically can't bring that client in unless this form is signed. Because your seller or landlord has to give you permission. And on the buy side or tenant side, that is the buyer or tenant giving you permission, again, to show, sell, rent them a home that either you have listed or somebody else in the office has listed. So again, this is a form. The CIS and the dual agency forms are forms that should be signed almost immediately, just to be over and done with, and you have your permission, your butt is covered. Because again, you can't walk into a property for something that I have listed with your client because you never got this form signed. Now, there are times on the listing side where a seller tells you they don't want you representing a buyer, but they're okay with another agent in the office. When that happens, you just write a little note on the bottom of the document saying that you will not bring a buyer to the transaction, but somebody in the office is allowed to, and just have them initial it. That is okay. Because then that's the other way, at least getting it. So this way, if somebody in the office, because or if you do have a client, you can say, hey, this is my client, I'll give you a referral fee. And you keep it in-house. Just one way around it, that's all. And then everybody just signs this document. Again, there's 4 of them: landlord, listing, buyer, and tenant side. But we only need to go over it once. Exclusive agency on the buy side. This isn't a contract between you and your buyer on working together, on having a relationship. You put in here your buyer's name, our office name goes in here. On line 6 is a spot where you can put in either towns or counties. I suggest you put counties in and not towns, because one day your client wants to look in this town and the next day they're off in another town, 10 miles away, but you're still in the same county. So I would just put in a range of counties, put in Bergen, Passaic, and Essex, even Hudson. Those are generally the counties that we work within in this area. So that's that. And then it's just our office information goes here, how you're operating as an agent, when this agreement starts and when the agreement ends. Now, at any point in time, you can fire your client if you don't want to work with them anymore and tell them this agreement is done. Write it up in an email, make sure it's in an email, or at any point in time, your client can tell you this isn't working out. And again, just ask them to put it in an email and this agreement is then dissolved. This agreement is for when your clients go to an open house without telling you. And then the other agent thinks that they're their client. This protects you from that. I mean, always educate your clients. Make sure you tell them that if they do go to an open house and you can't because maybe you're hosting your own or you're out with another client that day, to tell them that when they sign in that they are working with another agent, let the other agent know that, and to sign in with your name. That's the best way around it. They sign into that open house with your name. So they know, so that other agent knows, yeah, I'm working with I'm working with an agent, I'm signing in with their information. So if the agent wants to contact, they're contacting you and not trying to contact them. But that's why it's just a relationship agreement that can be broken at any point in time, just like any relationship. This form is a newer form. It's inspection of waiver and or appraisal. It doesn't go for both. It goes for one, and that's whatever is stipulated in the contract. A lot of clients are waiving the appraisal. A lot of clients are waiving inspections except for major components, you know, plumbing, electrical, structure, things like that. So the state has created a form like that. So if you are writing up a contract and your clients are waiving one or the other, you want this form filled out. Make sure it's in the room automatically when you start your opportunity, but make sure your buyers sign it and you send it with your offer. Always send it with it. Lead paint. Okay. Lead paint. We have two lead paint forms. One's for a lease, one's for a sale. They do differ because they say different things on them. So make sure when you are downloading from the MLS that the lead paint form is the proper lead paint form. I can't tell you how many times on a listing I see the one for a lease. Can't be used. It needs to be the one for a sale. Never, ever have your client sign a blank lead paint form, the buyer side, that is. Because your buyer is then just agreeing to whatever the seller signs afterwards. The seller on this form has to note whether or not they know that there's lead paint on the property, whether they have test results or not. And if anything changes, which is this C down here, they have to acknowledge that they're going to let people know. So you never want your buyer to sign this form unless it is signed by the sellers, because they could sign. So on a lease, this happens to be I think this is a lease one. I don't think it is. Oh, and no, this is the sale one. So on a lease, the reason why there's a difference, it doesn't have this category down here, these two pieces. On a sale, the buyer during the inspection period has up to 10 days to test for lead paint, or they can waive the opportunity. On a lease, they don't have that option. So that's why there's a difference between the two. Personally, when this is on the MLS and it's being signed by the buyers, I always choose if they received a 10-day period. I don't even waive the opportunity. Because then if the buyers choose not to do it, that is their choice, but you are giving them the choice to waive it, to test for it or not. Sorry, I was getting a phone call. I had to flip my phone over, so I didn't see it. I don't know who's calling me though. I won't answer. But then this form gets filled out. Another thing too on this, whether it's the listing side for residential or on a lease or whatever, there's an A, B, and a C. All A, B, and C needs to be initialed. And under A and B, they need to check off whether or not they have knowledge, don't have knowledge, have reports, don't have reports. That's what your sellers have to do. They also have to sign. Then on the bottom half for the buyers, everybody needs to initial A, B, C. You check off the received or waived, they sign, and you sign. Everything, all categories must be initialed. I see numerous times where listings have the person have A, B initialed, and they never initial C. And C just says if there's any changes, they're going to let you know. They have to let you know. I'll tell you right now, this form is not filled out properly. A mortgage company will kick it back and ask for it to be filled out right. They won't accept it. And then they're going to stick it in their package, not filled out right, and it's got to get filled out right at time of closing. So just give you a heads up there. This is a newer form, which would have been great 2 years ago, but it only recently came out. When did this come out?
So when you click the buyer's package, all the documents are on the file, just ready to send to your.
Most of the stuff does, yeah. It's all in there. Except for lead paint. Lead paint you'll pull from the MLS.
Oh, okay.
Lead paint you'll always pull from the MLS into the document section. because you want to make sure that the sellers have signed it. If it's not there, do not have your buyer sign it. It does not go into the buyer's folder. You need that. You need to see what the sellers wrote on that lead paint form or the landlord before you have your client sign it, because they need to know. On the MLS, there's always a document section. Every MLS has a document section. That's what it is, because you have 24 or 48 hours to post it. This is a virtual showing, whether it's on a sale or a tenant, just saying that your clients have virtually seen this property and are putting an offer in through the virtual, which does happen when you have somebody that's moving from out of state, that's coming in from another state. They've only done a virtual showing on it. This is that acknowledgement. That's all this is for. We're not, 2 years ago when COVID was big, this was huge. This isn't used as much, but it is there. Another document, whether it's buy side or listing side, it does not matter, is the wire fraud. People ask why they're signing this document. What this document is information on how not to be a victim of wire fraud. People question why there's landlord and tenant on here. I have written leases for people who are moving to New Jersey from out of state, and they want to wire. That's their commission. They wanted to wire the security deposit. They wanted to wire the first month's rent. So that's why that's on there. They have every right to, and they can, but they need to know about wire fraud and how it can affect them, how you can lose all your money if you don't have the right information. And then your deal goes bye-bye when that happens. But this is literally on how not to be a victim. That's all that's about. I'm gonna go back into the drive here. We're just gonna go to, I'm just gonna go to the NJ forms here for a moment. New Jersey MLS has their own lead paint form on there. You can use it. You don't have to. Ours goes into your into DocuSign when you create your opportunity. So it's automatically there on the listing side. Every MLS has different forms. This is a change of status form. So if you're changing the price, you're changing the expiration date. If it's an office exclusive that you're now publishing, you'd mark that off. If the owners are offering a bonus, you're changing the commission. That's what this form is for. It's blank in our system, or you can pull it directly on MLS's website. So it'll actually fill in with most of the information along with the MLS. There is a way to do that. But again, this is a DocuSign. Delayed showing. If you are delaying a showing more than 3 days. So if you're listing it today, which is Wednesday, so hold on. Let's just say you listed something yesterday, Tuesday, because that's easier. And you're not showing it till Sunday. You're not letting any showings until Sunday. This form needs to be filled out. It has to be more than 3 days. So if you're listing it today, so Tuesday, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'd have to be able to show the property. If you can't show the property on that 4th day, then this form has to get filled out and uploaded to the MLS.
So as soon as you get signed the agreement,
Yes, as soon as you're signing the agreement,
you
this
got
form,
24 hours to start showing.
right, unless this form is filled out.
Oh.
So
How
once
many
this,
days?
you put on here, there is a spot. Okay, so obviously this form will fill in from DocuSign. It'll fill in the listing address, our office, the agent. You'll have to put in the listing date because that will vary. And then under category 2, you'll put here, right there, no showings until Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever the date is. So though that's that. The basic thing with this, so that's a delayed showing form. Garden does not have a delayed showing. They have the coming soon feature instead. So with Garden, you would choose when you go to hit act, when you go to publish your listing, it'll ask if it's active or if it's coming soon. You'll hit coming soon, and then you'll put the day in there that it goes live. So if you put it live yesterday, it's coming soon on Sunday, it'll stay in the coming soon state. It'll be published on their MLS. Everybody will see it, but it will not flip to that active state until Sunday or Saturday, whatever date that you want the first day of showings to be. That's their website. In terms of listing agreements, everybody's listing agreements are basically the same. I don't see one for NJ in here at the moment. We have one piece in here, but not the other. But a listing agreement in general states the listing dates, the address, your office information, your personal information, the information about the home, beds, baths, what it looks like, all that fun stuff, the commission. You sign it, your broker signs it, your clients sign it. That's what a listing agreement generally is. And then there's a commission split separate form. I do all for at least NJMLS. Everything I do is directly from their website. You can print the listing agreement right from their website. So as you're entering all the information, once you're done, you hit print, it basically autofills for you, and then you can just put it into your DocuSign, upload it, and add your signatures. If you're putting on 2 MLSs, what I tend to do is, so like this is just the commission agreement saying, this is the split I'm giving out with the other office would be in this category, this line right here. So whether it's 2%, 2.5%, minus whatever, that's that. If I'm putting it on 2 MLSs, Gordon and Hudson have just a separate commission agreement form, just like this. I do their extra commission agreement form just to cover your butts, but NJ, Gordon, and Hudson do honor each other's forms, so you don't have to. I just do it just to be on the safe side.
So every time you're gonna post a different MLAs.
Pretty much, yep. These are, well, as long as you have one done, NJ, Gordon, and Hudson honor each other's forms. They will take the other one's forms. I'll just do the commission agreement form for Gordon or Hudson if it's going on those besides NJ. I just do that one sheeter and I have it auto-filled. It auto-fills pretty much for you. Another basic form on most of them is there's 2 different things here. When you don't want to publish your listing on the MLS, one is a non-dissemination form. This means your clients do not want their listing on the MLS, but they want you to share your commission with another brokerage house. So that's what this is. So you're allowed to, they want you to take the listing. They want you to share with Caldwell, Remax, the local small mom and pop shop. That's what this particular form is for. And then this form, along with the listing agreement, gets sent to the MLS so they are aware. You have to have this filled out. You have to have a listing agreement form filled out, and you send it to the MLS saying, hey, I have this listing, but they don't want it published on the MLS, but they want me to share my commission. It says it right here. They want you to cooperate with other brokers. Now, the other one is the waiver of broker cooperation. This one is, I'm taking a private listing, but I am not sharing my commission with another brokerage house. I'm keeping it all to myself. Actually, not technically keeping it all to yourself, because the listing belongs to the broker. The listing belongs to Keller Williams Park Views. You are technically supposed to be able to share your commission with another agent in this office. That's just, but most people use this as a double-sided deal without having to worry about publishing it. That's what this is. That's what this one's for. Again, everybody signs this. Actually, you don't sign this. The broker signs this, the seller sign this. This form and the listing agreement, once again, gets sent off to the MLS to make sure they are aware. Now, let's just say after 2 weeks, you don't bring a buyer. You don't know nobody who wants to, buy this home, and you want to publish it on the MLS. That's when you do this change of status. They'll publish the listing with the original listing date on the MLS. So let's just say it was April 1st and you're publishing it today. You'll publish it, you'll go in and do this change of status form, and then you check off publish exclusive. You take that form and send it to the MLS. So they know not to fine you that you're publishing a listing late. And what they do is they change the counter on the MLS to show it as 0 days, even though it was on the 1st that you actually took the listing. So it won't show that you're 13 days into a listing and just publishing it. It shows as day 1, or as day 0 for that matter. That's all you have to do. And then they fix the fee and charge for you. You just have to let them know. Otherwise you're going to get like a hefty fine from them, like a $250 fine. I'm not gonna lie, they do a lot of forms. These are withdrawal forms. There is a conditional, unconditional, and temporary. Conditional means that you're withdrawing it and they don't want anybody to contact them, or you might be relisting this with the new price in 2 or 3 days or a week. So you do the conditional withdrawal. So no other agent can touch this listing. No other agent can call them from the expired list because it was withdrawn conditionally. Once the time frame of the listing has expired, then it will change to expired and anybody's free to call them. The unconditional means you're releasing it fully. You don't want this listing. You don't want to work with these sellers. Anybody can work with them. That's how everybody knows that they can start calling them to try to get them to list their home. Temporary listings, put a listing on hold. So let's just say your clients want the listing out there, but decide, you know what, we're going to paint. And we got a painter coming in next week, so we can paint to make it look all clean. That's when you do a temporary, and then it goes back to the active state when it's done. That's what the temporary is for. It's just to hold it for a short period of time for whatever reason. Or they've got, they're moving and they don't want anybody coming in and out. So you want to put it on a temporary where they're trying to get all the stuff out, and then you put it back to being active again. Those are those forms. That's everything in NJMLS. I wonder if we have any other state seller forms. Let's see what's in seller forms. Oh, yes, this form here. People question this form. Permission to advertise. This form on the listing agreement itself, any listing agreement, your sellers are agreeing to have their information published on the internet. But what they're agreeing to there is having their home published on realtor websites. This permission to advertise is them saying, yes, you can put my listing on your Facebook page. You can put it on any social media that you have. You can send out just listed flyers. This is what this is, giving you permission to do those things that are outside of the scope of just putting it on, making sure it publishes to Realtor and Zillow, any other, or, apartments.com, rent.com, any basic realtor websites. This is for you to do other things. That's why we have this in here on the listing side. So this way, when you put it on because otherwise people might be like, no, I don't want you to put my home on social media. I don't want a picture there. That's for some of these forms. Oh, seller's disclosure. Okay. By law in New Jersey, this form does not have to be filled out by your seller. They will not receive a fine like New York. But yes, New York is a $500 fine. I'm being looked at funny over here by Freddie. That's all. That's why I made that. But by law, you are to present them the seller's disclosure form. They do not have to fill it out. So it is in our listing package. You send it with your listing when you're sending out all your documents, the CIS, the dual, all of that. If your clients choose not to fill it out and just sign it on the bottom, them signing it on the bottom acknowledges that they received the form. That's it. They don't have to fill it out. It is their choice. This form is just an informational piece. How old is the house? How old is my roof? Have I had leaks? When was this updated? That update. It's literally just information about the home. They choose to fill it out, great. If they fill it out, stick it on the MLS, because then it releases. And if they don't, they just sign the bottom of it blank, and that's it. You did your job. You presented it to them.
Even if they lie somehow.
Well, if they lie, that is their fault. That is not yours. You have no idea on whether or not they lie about
And
something.
this form is a required form in command. So even like Janine said, even if your clients do not wish to fill this out, it is going to be required for you to upload that blank form with their signature, and you can include a note that says, I wish to, not fill out the form, or you can word it better than that. But
Seller left blank.
yes, but it is a required form moving forward in command. Your checks will not be processed if we don't have this form signed and uploaded.
So you want to get paid, get your stuff in there. My suggestion too is most of these documents, once you start your opportunity and choose that proper checklist, residential, and then you start the DocuSign room after that, all these documents pull in for you. The only one you're not sending at time of signature when you do it is the commission statement, because obviously you haven't sold anything yet. But once everything is signed by you, your seller, and the broker, which I put everybody all on the same envelope to sign at the same time, because Rob can go through this and see what's missing and what's not at that time. Once it's signed, go right back to command, attach all the documents, and hit submit. And that piece is done for compliance. Also with NJ and Hudson, the lead paint, the COVID, the seller's disclosure, you can actually upload your documents ahead of time. So let's just say you've got your clients signing all their listing agreements today and you're not listing until tomorrow and everything's signed today. You can take that lead paint, that COVID waiver, and your seller's disclosure, upload them ahead of time so they're there. So when you go to publish your listing, you didn't forget and don't get a fine. NJ allows you to do it. You can add documents ahead of time. You can add your pictures ahead of time for NJ and Hudson. Garden, not so much. Garden, you actually have to email them your documents. But that's a whole nother issue. I'm gonna go into this miscellaneous forms because this might be, nope. Oh, if you are ever referring a client to another office, they're going to ask for a W-9. They do not want your W-9. They want our office W-9, by the way. So the office W-9 is in here. Here's a blank W-9. I'll explain that in a second. But this Park Views one's down here. So if like you referred and somebody's paying you that 25% referral fee, this needs to be sent to them also. So their office has it on file. They need it. The blank W-9, when you have a tenant, your tenant has a security deposit. Their security deposit by law needs to go into a secured bank account. In order for that to go into a secured bank account, this W-9 needs to be filled out by your tenant. And then your landlord takes that along with the security deposit check and it gets deposited into that account. So that's what this is for. So you'll always need the blank W-9. You can always tell your tenants to go online and fill it out and hand it over to the landlord themselves. Personally, I prefer that. Some agents don't, but they have to put their social security number on the form. And I don't like having their social security number on file. That's just my personal preference. Everybody can, you do your own thing. I might have to log into DocuSign really fast unless it's here. Oh, no, but I'll go into those folders for a second. Tenant forms. This is really where more are. There's a lease application in the tenant form. Send this to your client. It is pre-tagged. This lease application is a form that tells us who your tenants are, where they work, their current address, their, car information, if they have pets. It's just basic information on who they are. We don't ever get page 2 filled out. That's asking for bank information to run a credit background check on them. We send them the link to do that. So they never have to fill page 2 out. So you can tell them when they get this, don't even fill page 2 out. It's page 1 that needs to be filled out. And then they just sign it on the bottom. You can also go through here. I send this form out to them without any information in the details page. And the reason I do that is because you could be applying to multiple units for them as you're looking. And I don't want the address populated in here, but you can also check off on who the broker fee is paid by, whether it's the tenant or the landlord. But that's why I do that one. That one, what else is, why is that's on in tenant forms? I think it's in the landlord forms for some reason. Nope, I just saw it. Where'd it go? It's been in the forms folder. Where is it? The actual lease. Now, just to let you know, the lease is always filled out by the tenant's agent, not the landlord's agent. This is the lease agreement that says who the tenants are, who the landlord is, where are they living? That's the property information here. When does the lease start? When does the lease end? This information here, you can go into more detail on how to fill out a lease. That could be another whole class. But here is what they're paying out initially for what the initial deposit is, which is usually security deposit, the first month's rent, how much they gave, all this information here. What is this? If there's a late payment fees for if it bounced checks and things like that. Utilities, who pays for what. You check off a lot of the stuff you get. And then what they're responsible for. You can cross off things in here that if they're not responsible for. So like if it's an apartment complex, they're generally not responsible for lawn maintenance. There's usually a landscaper that comes in to do that. So that's what this is, a lease. This is the agreement between the tenant and the landlord to live at a certain location. It gets filled out. And all the information just gets put in here. Everybody signs, initials, dates it. And that's the official agreement that gets filled out for here. It's under the NJAR folder. There's other things. I might have to log into DocuSign quickly, and I think I do. Oh, I have this open blank. Perfect. DocuSign. Did that even go? I don't know. Hold on. Bear with me for a second. Oh, no. Might not be able to get into DocuSign. Oh. So the internet in the office doesn't like DocuSign for whatever reason, or at least my computer doesn't. It's a little slow. I just want to log into mine really fast. So on the contract, I talked about different addendums. So like on the listing side, you have the seller's disclosure, which will be in there, which always gets filled out by the seller first and uploaded to the MLS. There's another document that the seller should always fill out first. So it's the lead paint, the seller's disclosure, and the solar panel addendum should always be filled out by the seller before the buyer. Because the solar panel gives the information of whether it's owned, whether it's leased, what the actual payments are, when the lease starts, when the lease ends. It's the information that if a buyer just signs it blankly, they don't know what, again, they're signing to and how much they're going to be paying. So that's a document that would go with the addendum. But again, I get that generally signed by the seller first, and I will post it on the MLS. So everybody has the information out there and ask for it to be signed and sent with everything. Most of the addendums in the state folder pertain to buy side. You'll have an FHA document. So if there's, I don't know how long DocuSign is going to take to load. So I'm just going to talk about these. The FHA document states, it's not moving too slow. Wow, amazing. Rooms. So if you have an FHA client, you'd put on, it automatically fills with the property address, your client's name, the sales price. I do this again, when I'm writing the offer, I have this filled out, I send it for signature at the same time. Makes it easier for the lender, because if you don't do it, guess what's going to happen? The lender's going to send you their own, and everybody's going to have to sign it, because this buyer has to sign it, the sellers have to sign it, both agents have to sign it. So it's just easier to do it up front. Send it to everybody to sign. Everybody gets it when you do it, and executed back to you, and that gets sent off to the mortgage company. When you're sending the executed contract, when you're sending the lead paint, or your clients are basically, you're giving that to your clients, and most of them you're uploading to a website. So that's always a good form there. There's one for pools. If there's a pool on the property, if you're ever looking for a septic tank one, it's under the word sewage, by the way. That's what the septic tank is under. So if there's septic tank, if there's an oil tank, if there's a multifamily home, NJA, I have lots of random folders in my room, because this is how I check to make sure things are okay in our system. And I pretend to send. So I don't know what this form is. Oh, if your buyers are selling a property of their own and need to sell their property before, DocuSign is not like me today, before they can actually buy, there's a buyer's property. Yeah, see, that does not like me. There's a buyer's property form that gets filled out. Condo Addendum. It's another one that really should be on the MLS also, actually, from your sellers, because that one shows what the HOA fee is. So you can have your seller sign this ahead of time and pop it on the MLS. This is the FHA form. Lead paint, you don't care. New construction. There might be certain stipulations with new construction. Private sewage, which is your septic tank. Private well. Surprisingly, there are homes in Bergen County that have well, and there's lots in Sussex County. There's all these different ones. Most of them are signed by your buyer first. Underground oil tank. Pools in here, a seller's concession. So if your buyers, are you doing a seller's concession? Again, you have a seller's concession signed at time of the contract. A lot of these, if there's little things like this, when I'm sending the contract for signature, I'm attaching all of these documents at the same time, because at some point in time it might come up, and then trying to get your clients to sign things on the back end can be a real pain. Yeah, gotta sign this, but I forgot. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to open my phone and click for 2 seconds, but they scrolled Instagram for an hour. It's true, but that's what most of these addendums are. So again, most of these addendums, you want to add to your room in DocuSign when you're writing that contract, when you're writing that listing agreement. So when you're sending everything initially out for signature, it all goes at the same time. And then when you're sending that on the buy side, when you're sending your offer over, You can actually combine all these documents in DocuSign to make one offer package, which then forces the other side to sign all the documents that are in there. So you can combine it all and say 123 Main Street offer, and you attach it to the email and say, in this package are the FHA, the solar panel, whatever documents you've included. So this way they know those documents are in there ahead of time. The lender will come back sometimes and ask for a lot of these. So, but I know we're running shorter on time, and DocuSign's really not my friend at the moment. Travis is chatting away over here. But there's all different types of forms in here. For some reason, I have the NJMLS listing agreement in here, and I have no idea why. But these are different CIS forms. These are all the NJAR state document forms that are in here. Like I said, there's the condo, buyer's property. I don't even know if this is gonna open. I'm trying, but it's not working. Hold on a second. As he starts to walk away, but we can still hear Travis on the phone. He's doing his lead gen. He's lead genning away over there. He's trying to find those sellers. I think he walked away. I know that's what most of you do, but a lot of these documents they're just little itty bitty documents. All of them are in DocuSign, and these particular ones are under the NJAR folder. I think in our buyer's packet, we do have a couple of them stuck in there. If you were to go to the buyer's packet folder, I think we have the FHA in there, the seller's concession in there, just because they tend to be typical documents. They're documents over the past 2 years we haven't used as much because of the way this market's been. But when the market isn't as crazy, that's what they get used for. Seller's concession is great. So if your buyers don't have a ton of money in the bank, you can say, all right, buyers are going to do up to $10,000 in seller's concession. They're offering 500, but they want 10,000. So what they're basically saying is we're offering 500, but out of this 500,000, we need 10,000 of it to cover our closing costs. So the seller's really only getting 490. They're financing their closing costs is what's happening, which can be very, very helpful. But in this market, it just isn't going anywhere because everybody's bidding 40, 50, 60,000, $100,000 over. Hopefully in the next few months, we're going to start to see a change in things. I think we will. And things will start to, I don't know, go back to normal because this market is crazy. I think it will. We're starting to see it in the higher priced homes. The higher priced homes are not going as fast or going as over. They're sitting on the market a little bit longer than other homes, and that's where you start to see the shift first before you will in the lower bracket homes. You'll see the shift first in the higher homes.
Usually it's like that.
Huh?
Usually it's like that with the highest homes.
Right. That's where you'll see higher homes sitting longer than you will see lower homes, always have, but now we're starting to see even the $600,000 to $700,000 ranges that the homes are sitting a little longer on the market. And there's still very much a seller's market. Anything that's on the market 3 months and under is a seller's market. 4 to 6 months is a steady market. So usually what it's listed for, they're getting within a $10,000 or 10% range. Anything that sits on the market more than 6 months is a buyer's market. So we're still very much in a seller's market. Don't get me wrong, we are. But I think we're going to start to see things start to push. The houses will start to sit, and I've seen it on a lot of them, start to sit from 10 days to 20 days. And it's going to slowly start building as more homes come to market and the interest rates go up. Because as interest rates go up, people have less buying power. So somebody that was buying, looking close to 600,000, their buying power is now down to 5. The people that were looking at 5, their buying power is down to 4. And in this area, we're finding a $400,000 home. I don't mean to sound rude. It's true. Homes that went for 330 to 350 2 years ago, we're now going near 500,000. So some people are starting to get priced out, and people are actually starting to apply for less loans. So we're going to start to see a leveling this year. The lenders are doing what they need to do. Does anybody have any other questions for me? No? No questions? No? No questions, guys? Any other questions here? No? Everything? Okay. Well, we're gonna try to get more classes on the books. Maybe I'll have Amanda do a poll or something. No, I'm not good at that stuff. That's why she does it. on what you guys want next. I know I've done buyer and I've done listing. Maybe we'll do one on how to write leases up. So this way people know how to write a lease up. Leases are super easy to write up, by the way. Very, very easy. They're kind of straightforward than anything else. And maybe some other DocuSign classes on how to create templates or just syncing your stuff from DocuSign to Command and how the just the streamlining of the process for it. And where to find documents. So
whatever reason we're struggling somehow, can we ask you any questions?
you can always ask me questions. I am our transaction coordinator for the office, me and my, hold on, leverage@kw.com. Me and Lee, he's my team. He's the one who is handling the fort right now while I'm here teaching all of you. So if I don't respond, please know if you do send an email that it's not always me responding to you. So if you also send me a text message, I may be completely clueless as to what you were talking about, because there are times where, like yesterday, I talked to an agent on the phone. I was waiting for an email to come through, and before I could even know anything, the email came through literally in seconds, and Lee jumped right on it. And I was like, okay. But that's what he's there for, and he's great at what he does. So if you do ask any questions, he's very knowledgeable about all of this stuff too, and he'll be able to answer you through email. So, but this is my email. If anybody needs me, I do help write contracts, listing agreements, all of that fun stuff. There is a fee associated with it, but as you build your business, you will need somebody to help you out because things get a little crazy. You get busier, which is good for you. That's more money. The way life is. So I just want to thank everyone for showing up on Zoom and the few people that did come into the office. You're welcome. Any other questions? Just let me know. Send me an email. Ask Amanda, whatever it might be. Have a fabulous Wednesday, and it is gorgeous outside, so we'll take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.